Welcome. Hello, my name's Nicola. I'm an energy and consciousness expert, an energy medicine practitioner, an emotion code practitioner, and I wanted to answer some of the questions that came in from my email yesterday. So thank you so much for your curiosity. And I wanted to answer these in a way that will serve everyone who may listen to this. So I've chosen some questions that fit within some themes. We have a question surrounding intention. That's really the conscious mind and your connection to your energy. I also have a couple of questions around physical issues. Your physical body is the densest form of your energy. Then a question specifically about a part of energy anatomy, your energy body. And then finally, something that relates to energy understandings in the wider framework of society. So we've got 4 themes there, and I want to answer these in a way that can dive into the question itself, but also serve anyone who is listening to this. So thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to communicating with you and answering questions more throughout the course of 2021. This first question comes from Robert, and he wanted to know, when you teach us to do certain moves, you pay a lot of attention to the right intention. Once your intention is set and you begin the moves, is it still important to remain concentrated on the intention, or can you let go of the intention? So that's a really brilliant question. For those of you that have seen my videos on YouTube, I generally, in nearly all of them where it has some energy protocols, ask you to bring your conscious mind on board with the movement of energy that you are looking to create. So I would say, to answer your question, and I know this will help a lot of people, it is so important to bring your conscious mind on board. And then if you feel, having done that intentionally once, almost like a personal prayer, if you feel that you are then able to completely be absorbed in the movements and the flow of those energy moves, almost lose your sense of self to be completely engaged in that dance with your energy, go into the sensations in your body and cultivate that absolute present moment awareness with what you are doing in that moment. That seems like quite a lot of things. Trust me, it's much simpler and quicker than that may sound. Then I would say, no, you've set the intention and then you are in communion with your energies. But if, however, you are doing some energy moves and at the same time you're thinking, oh God, am I going to be late for that? Or I've got those things on my to-do list, I really should be calling that person, then that is when the mind is distracted. Now, I do energy moves throughout the course of my day all the time, and sometimes it is a quick reset where I haven't necessarily gone into a deep meditative practice. But I know a lot of you are attracted to energy medicine because you are struggling with a physical, emotional, spiritual, mental imbalance that is pushing you to transform. And because you are in that squeeze box, you are looking for a transformation, then I would say that is when it is even more important to stay focused on the intention and not let our mind be distracted. Because often when we start to pay attention to our mind, our thoughts, the finest form of energy, that is when we really uncover some interesting aspects of our energy consciousness that may be contributing to a physical or emotional issue that is stuck. So I hope that answers your question. You can do 2 things. You can either, yes, set the intention like a personal prayer and then be absolutely absorbed, or if it is helpful to ensure your mind stays focused, you can keep that repetition like a mantra whilst you are continuing to do the exercises. So I hope that helps, Robert, and that was a great question. I know that will greatly help other people. The other thing you asked quickly at the end was, is it useful to keep your eyes facing downwards? I don't think that makes any difference at all whatsoever. If I happen to have been keeping my eyes facing downwards in any videos, that is just completely inadvertent. I actually really like to close my eyes because there is a really different way your energy interacts with with yourself if you are following along and looking outside of yourself, which is great when you're learning how to do moves in the beginning, but ultimately this is a communion with yourself. This is an inside job. This is cultivating that relationship with that subtle sense of awareness. And so ultimately I feel that shutting off one of our more obvious perceptions, our sight, helps us go inward. It's not a place for intellect. It's not necessarily a place for the normal senses. It really is within a slightly subtler realm of sense. And that's why I definitely like to shut my eyes. But if you want to keep your eyes looking downward, if that helps you go into that zone of communion with yourself and your energies, then definitely do that. So that was the first question, the conscious mind and intention. Great question. Thank you, Robert. Now, moving on to a couple of physical issue questions. And let's face it, I don't know about you, but that is what drove me to look for energy medicine as a solution, because I was in a mess. Autoimmune, I'd had insomnia, I was just emotionally, physically, spiritually bankrupt, and I needed a way to tap into my energies. So let's put on our energy glasses and see me through the lens of energy before I talk about these two questions addressing specific physical issues. Because when you put on the lens of energy, your energy glasses, we understand that yes, your physical body may appear physical, but that is an illusion. And by that I mean, I don't mean that it isn't real, okay? I'm not saying your body is not real. I'm saying it is not what it appears to be. Your body is a vibration, is a frequency of energy, atoms, particles, which actually aren't really particles. They are more space than matter. You are a coalescence of vibration, which appears solid because of our way of perceiving. So if we then understand that we are a vibration, our physical bodies are the densest and lowest form of vibration. Then we have our emotional body, which is quite dense but a finer form of vibration. And then there is the mental body, the mental plane, which is the finest form of vibration. So I would say to anyone who has a physical issue, which was the case for me, let's take a step back. Let's back up into your emotional body, that finer vibration of energy. Let's back right up into your mental body, the mental plane, and even a finer form of energy. And let's understand what is happening with our beliefs, our thought patterns, our emotions that are showing up at the end of the line in the densest form of energy in our physical body. Because we absolutely have the ability to be the catalyst to unlock a pattern in our body, but that has to be in line with being absolutely honest at investigating our way of being with our thoughts and our beliefs. And that could be ones that you have created or ones that have been created by you as a sense of protection or safety due to something traumatic that's happened in your lifetime, or it could be inherited. So there are many levels on which your beliefs, energy, thought patterns and emotions can be contributing to showing up as a physical imbalance. And then the two specific questions, so that was just a bit of an intro to my understanding of physical issues. And can I just say, I am not a medical doctor. You are not here because you're looking for conventional medical advice, which I absolutely respect. And there is a place for conventional medicine to walk hand in hand with understandings of energy and consciousness. And I am giving you that new perspective, that different perspective of energy and consciousness to expand your awareness and support any conventional medicine, which I highly encourage you to explore as well. For example, I've just been working with an incredible client since April. This was actually in person. I work with clients online and in person, and we've been working together from his diagnosis of stage 4 cancer right through to, that was in April, right through to now he has been given the all clear, and he had 2 rounds of chemotherapy during the time that we were working together regularly over that period. So there is absolutely a place for collaboration. So the 2 specific physical questions I wanted to bring attention to was one from Donna. Thank you for your question, my darling. You said, I'd like to know how much energy work I need to be doing daily to impact my recovery from MS, multiple sclerosis, an autoimmune condition. I would say that everyone is completely unique. I can't answer that question for you, but I would ask you to look at how long have you been working with energy medicine for? What improvements have you noticed? And I would say, like I approached my autoimmune in the beginning when I was trying to fix it, I was approaching it purely from the realm of the physical energy body, the densest form of my energy. I was like, this is a mechanical thing, I need to fix this, rather than what can I learn from this? What is this physical manifestation that I have created in my body showing me about my emotions and thought patterns, and what do I need to do to release any trapped emotions, to align my beliefs with a more expanded, coherent aspect of heart consciousness, and ultimately what can I do to bring peace in my heart no matter what is going on with my physical issue. So I would greatly encourage you to explore any aspects of your beliefs and emotional energy. And I'll give you a cue here. This is an energy consciousness statement specifically for you. So you might want to jot this down and meditate on it. You don't need to know the answer to this. This is for your subconscious mind. Everything, 95% of the show being running by subconscious belief patterns. So I invite you to reflect, meditate on this question often, ask it to an aspect of your energy, and don't sit in the energy of I don't know. Say, I am open to know, I'm open to receive guidance from my depths of wisdom. Your energies have all the information you need to understand yourself, to transcend the place of suffering emotionally, mentally, physically that you are in. So the question for you, Donna, is what would it feel like to be free of all the rigid control systems I have accepted in my head? What would it feel like to be free of all the rigid control systems I have accepted in my head? I invite you to meditate on that. And then the second specific question about a physical issue that I wanted to talk about on today's recording. This is from Josephine. She was asking specifically for her daughter who has a kidney issue, looking for something workable to heal her. And I am communicating with you, Josephine, and asking you to be inspired to look to bring balance to yourself, because I can totally understand how distressing it must be when you have a loved one who is going through something like that. But I am interested in us as adults taking responsibility for ourselves first, to hold an expanded field of consciousness and transformation that can then be registered and met by our nearest and dearest, because that will have a positive impact. So kidneys, the energy, the vibration of kidneys are resonant with the emotion of fear. And the question I have for you, Josephine, that is specifically attuned to you, this is your inner work, this is your transformation to transcend a place of emotional and mental suffering. This question is directly for you. You don't need to know the answer. Just be willing to be open to know and hear guidance from inside of yourself. This is a communion with your subconscious. So I invite you to ask, what will it take for me to lovingly allow myself to be in this human condition? What will it take for me to lovingly allow myself to be in this human condition? Okay, so that's the two aspect specific questions around physical issues I wanted to address today. And now moving on to an energy body question. I mentioned our physical body is the densest form of energy, but it's still a vibration, it's still a frequency, it's still energy. Then we have a finer form of vibration, which some of us can't see, some of us can actually see with our eyes. And that, for example, could be your aura, the vibration of your biofield that emanates from you. And in addition to that, your chakras. Chakra is Sanskrit for wheel or disc. These are processing centers. There are 7 major ones on the body, start along the midline of the body, from the root up to the crown. They store the experiences of your life. It's almost like a computer, you know, you've got the hard drive that's backed up with every experience. Vibration holds information. I love this quote from Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. That's Nikola Tesla. So let's imagine we could see these vortexes of energy that are spiraling along the midline. 7 we have here. I have a question from Ursula specifically about the throat chakra. This is a spiral spiraling out the front and out the back of the body. And it's part of your energy anatomy. So Ursula was saying, this is one area that I'm really noticeably stuck in. When we take a moment to close our eyes and tune in, over time we can start to develop a sense of these subtle energy centers, and you can start to sense whether is there movement, does it feel stuck? So you're looking for any suggestions on how to get it unstuck. Firstly, to say the throat chakra is about expression. Of course, I'm speaking right now, it's containing my vocal cords. I will also say that all your other chakras, all other 6 of them, feed into this area. So all other aspects of experience are feeding into this area of the throat chakra for integration and expression. And when this is out of balance or a bit stuck, it can end up showing up in 2 ways. And maybe you can relate to this personally, anyone, or maybe you know someone you can think of that this really relates to. So it can either end up, when the energy isn't balanced in this throat chakra area, as an inability to speak up. I mean, I definitely think back to times in my life growing up, really until I started working with my energy at the age of 30, where I would completely go into a frozen fight or flight response and be absolutely unable to speak, almost like you're completely blocked because of some learned trauma or some learned you're being shut down in a big way. So inability to speak up, pretty classic for a lot of people. And the other one is inability to shut up. I have a dear friend who talks 19 to the dozen, much more balanced now. She's been on many meditation retreats and also worked through some personal trauma, but that was how it expressed for her. So that is the quality of the throat chakra. So I'm sure you can identify with maybe both of those at different times, or certainly with one of those, and it depends on how severe the block of energy is, how much that will show up in your life. So to give you some tips on how to activate this area, Ursula, I would say, firstly, do my grounding sequence. I've got a grounding playlist on YouTube, and there's the video number 3 that's got a workshop, and there's a few moves, some of which are in the daily energy routine, but I really encourage you to first of all get grounded, because that means there is a free flow and energy above and below you, and all the chakras feed into the throat chakra. So that is an aspect of activation that you can do before you start working specifically on this area. And then it is as simple as using the electromagnetic qualities of your hands. There are actually mini spirals or vortexes off each palm. You can tune in and start to, once you've done your grounding, start to really breathe into your throat area. And start to circle your hand, and go whichever way you feel is right. And maybe you have been going that way for a few minutes, and then maybe you feel like you want to go the other way. And then every now and then sort of rub your hands together and shake them off. So start to bring movement to that particular area. And then for you, Ursula, this specific energy consciousness statement I have tuned in specifically for you. I invite you to set this as a vibrational tool when you do this work, that simple clearing of the throat chakra. You might want to jot this down. What will it take for me to see the world as beautiful, good, and giving? What will it take for me to see the world as beautiful, good, and giving? And really start to feed and use that energy consciousness statement to move the energy, the coding, the experiences, the trapped emotions that are in that particular area, that part of your energy anatomy. So have fun with that. Okay, so that was the third area, the energy body aspect. And then lastly, our fourth topic from your amazing questions, thank you very much everyone, is about energy consciousness in today's society. This is a pretty sort of global collective inquiry. So great question, thank you. This is from Chris. Her question: why does the mainstream world deny the existence of energy? And why are children not being taught about it from day one? Is it a means of the ruling classes to keep people disempowered? Okay, firstly, I will say that when we put on our energy glasses through which to see the world, we understand that if you want to know the secrets of energy, of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. See yourself as a vibration, and know that your vibration means that what is showing up in your external world is a reflection of your internal world. It shows up as a mirror. So if you feel that the mainstream world is denying the existence of energy, and it is potentially a means of the ruling classes to keep people disempowered, let's ask, what information does that give me about myself? So firstly, I will say that yes, conventional academia is based in a more mechanistic view of the separate nature of how to go about surgery or how to interact with the human body. There is absolutely truth in that to a large degree. But I will also say that I studied physics in school up until I went to university to study business studies. And so that was when I was nearly 18. And I would say that the equation that is ringing in my head always, and has been since I started learning physics at the age of 14, is E equals mc squared. That is what we were tuned into, and that's what we explored. And I went to a really conventional school. E is energy. Energy equals matter times by the speed of light squared. C is the speed of light. So that's basically saying matter is energy times by the speed of light. So traditional schooling of physics in any school actually teaches you that. So I feel like physics is totally on board with this, and even more so today. But there is absolutely more of a spiritual aspect and a connection with our own energies that is about transcending and the mystery of life. And yeah, that's definitely not necessarily taught in schools. But we are evolving out of a way of viewing body parts as separate and including the true nature of consciousness and awareness that is really coming more in line with ancient Eastern philosophy. So a lot of ancient cultures were absolutely on board with that way of thinking and seeing the world. So I would say that, yes, what you say is true, that the mainstream world, some people do deny the existence of energy, but actually if you're in any physics class in a normal school, that will be teaching you that equation, which demonstrates that that is one of the fundamental theories of everything. So it's, yeah, how do you bridge? I wasn't bridging that understanding from my physics class in a way that was giving me empowering tools. And of course, why aren't they teaching children? Well, it takes a movement, it takes change, it takes enough people, and it takes perhaps a few people to lead that charge. And I don't blame the school system. Everyone's doing the best that they can. I feel like we have such incredible opportunities to connect with new ways of learning in the modern world that I take absolute responsibility for myself. And I used to be one of those people who thought someone who spoke about energy in a more spiritual, empowering sense was annoying. So that was me. I was in spreadsheets and a really mechanistic way of viewing the world. So I know that was me. What can I say? Sometimes we need a catalyst for change, and I believe strongly that that is happening in society all over the world right now, which is super exciting. And then you were asking, is it a means of the ruling classes to keep people disempowered? I just think it's the nature of the evolution of consciousness. I think using that wording, the ruling classes and people, it's based in a separation. It's being in the energy of giving my power away. So no, I don't think so. It's just the way things have ended up being in the schooling system, and it's almost like turning a massive tanker, you know? You got to do it a bit slowly. You can't just go in and radically shake everything up. So things do change and they do evolve, and I strongly believe that that's happening now. And I would say that people generally believe what they've been told without necessarily being curious to expand the possibilities, and also maybe they have no direct experience of a different way of perceiving. It was only when I started going to the Amazon jungle to work with the Shipibo tribe that I actually had an experience, a direct connection with an aspect of energy in a completely new way. So your reality is your perception, and you will validate your truth by finding all the things in your external world that corroborate that. And I would say, I'm going to give two stories of two people who are incredibly inspiring just to finish this discussion, because let's not ever think I am being ruled by someone. Even in the greatest moments of trauma and oppression, it comes down to how we are able to turn that into a seed for our growth and empowerment. And the two examples and the two stories I'd like to share with you are Edith Eva Egger, and she is so inspiring. She was a teenager in around 1944, and she was a Jew living in Nazi-occupied Eastern Europe. Her and her family sent to Auschwitz. Her parents were sent to the gas chambers. But Edith's bravery, this complete belief that she could turn this into an opportunity for courage and leadership, kept her and her sister alive. And towards the end of the war, her and some other prisoners had been moved to Austria, and an American soldier noticed her hand moving slightly, piled up in amongst a load of dead bodies, and he summoned medical help and brought her back from the brink of death. So think about that situation of the most incredible oppression you could possibly imagine. How can you possibly be okay with that? How can you possibly transform that into something that puts you in a place of power? And that is where emotional mastery of your emotional energies, mastery of your mental energies comes into play. And she ended up moving to the US and doing a degree and a doctorate in psychology. And she says, to share this with you, though I could have remained a permanent victim, scarred by what was beyond my control, because that was totally out of her control, and the external world really often is out of our control. So it's about going inward. So though I could have remained a permanent victim, scarred by what was beyond my control, I made the choice to heal. Early on, I realised that true freedom can only be found by forgiving, letting go and moving on. So I turned my life around and vigorously pursued a career in psychology to help others. How inspiring. And then the second example I would like to give, when we can often get in the government, the school system, it's their fault, why aren't they doing more? I'm not saying we shouldn't campaign, but let's not disempower ourselves by a them and us energy. It's what can I do to be in the most empowered emotional and mental state in the face of the challenges that I'm experiencing. So my second person who is super inspiring is Nelson Mandela. And he can be pretty funny sometimes. He said, I went on a long holiday for 27 years. Speaking of his years in prison, he spent 27 years in prison, and 18 of those were on the notorious Robben Island, this pretty bleak internment camp off Cape Town in South Africa. And when he first arrived there, bear in mind, he had no idea if he would ever be getting out alive. And I think this kind of was a pretty bleak introduction. His first words from a warder was, "This is the island. This is where you will die." Pretty full on. So they faced an incredibly harsh regime, single cells, concrete cells, a slot bucket. They were put to work in a quarry, and Nelson Mandela really developed emerging leadership qualities among the inmates and started displaying forms of rebellion. So the prison authorities would rush them all, going hard loop, and that means run. And one day they did that, asking them to hard loop to the quarry. And Nelson said, "Comrades, let's be slower than ever before." And it was clear, therefore, that the steps they were taking at this slowest pace ever would make it impossible to ever reach the quarry. And of course, this ended up in brutality, but they were compelled to negotiate with Nelson Mandela, and this started to bring about the recognition of his leadership. So he used it as an opportunity for empowerment in what would appear to be the most oppressive and bleak circumstances. So I also wanted to share that. Thank you so much. We've covered 4 big topics, I feel, and I hope that has started to answer some very specific individual questions, and I hope that has brought insight to everyone else watching this. Thank you, and I will see you soon.